In this world, there's a such thing as pain transference. What that means is when someone hurts you, you want to transfer the pain from your own heart back to them. You want to get revenge. You want them to suffer and to really feel the wrath and the pain that you have to inflict upon them. And this comes out in many ways. There was a shooting that occurred years ago where a man went to a facility, a workout, and he started to shoot women, specifically because he had been denied certain pleasures from women of a certain age group, and he really wanted to get back by targeting women of that particular group. So he was transferring pain. He felt pain, transferred it back, and of course nothing came out of that. He ended up killing himself, and it's just a mess. And a lot of times in life we don't maybe go to these extremes. We don't want to shoot somebody or stab them, whatever, but we want them to feel the pain. Someone hurts us, so we look to hurt them. Someone has put us down, so we want to put them down. Someone calls us a name, so we call them a name. And in life what happens is whenever you look to something, I mean, let's say for example you want to really show someone something special, and you went out of your way to buy them something or to change yourself to the person you thought they wanted to be, with, and it just didn't work out. It fell by the wayside. You were just in a heap of just stress and disbelief, and you just feel all this anguish, and you say to yourself, yeah, I'm gonna get that person back. I'm gonna show them, and I'm gonna maybe we're gonna call them or go stalk them, or gonna write to them, we're gonna talk about their friends, do all kind of crazy things. And what happens is you start to fantasize about the way you thought things should be, and you compare them to the way things are, and it really doesn't help anybody. You see, someone said that success is the greatest revenge. And I was talking to someone the other day about the situation where they were cast out of a job, just for no apparent reason, and they were hurt by it, and they were still feeling pain even though it had passed over a year. And I told the person, and I'm telling you the same thing, that you need to forgive the person. You need to look at the situation for what it was, what you got out of it, but you don't have to go back to the person and confront the person and say, I forgive you, and let's sit down and talk about it. Because see, in their mind, you were something that they didn't want to deal with. They wanted to get rid of you, be it on a professional level, on an emotional level, interpersonal level. They just didn't see you as being the person who they wanted to be with, and they wanted you out of their life. Now you can go back and try to quantify that and balance it out and look at it and analyze it, but we as human beings are really not that scientific, in the sense that we don't do things with a quantifiable reason at all times. I mean, why do we go to certain places? Why do we spend time with certain people? Why do we do certain things? Why don't we do certain things? It really isn't a formula that we can just say, yeah, this is the way it should be and the way it is. We like to fantasize that it can be that way, but it's not. You ever see a person and they're just like with somebody who you say, why would that person like that person? Or why would that person do that type of a job? Or why wouldn't this person who's got this particular skill or potential do this certain thing? So human beings are really, we're not that far removed from any other creature on earth. We're not that sophisticated. We tend to do things and then we justify them. Someone said that when it comes to making a purchase, we tend to buy things through emotion and then we justify it through logic. And it's the same thing with our choices. in most cases, we have jobs and we just decided one day, I want to be a doctor, or because I watched the doctor show on TV when I was 4 years old, or I want to be a cop because I saw a cop show when I was 12, or I want to be a model because I saw models on TV. We do things out of emotion, and then we justify them through logic. And same thing with relations. People don't sit down and really think about what they do when it comes to relationships. They simply go out there and they react to what is in their environment. So you'll meet some guy and he looked really handsome, and you felt that that's who you wanted to be with, and it felt right. Then come to find out that the guy's a jerk, and you say to yourself, I want to be with this guy, he's a jerk now. But in his mind, he said, well, you chose me that day, so I want to be with you, and you're the kind of person I want to be with, so why don't you accept me? And it's like, it's just a hodgepodge and a conundrum of just emotions and lack of real choices, lack of real decision making. So if you think about it, if you're at a job or in a relationship or whatever you're doing and something goes wrong, did it really mean that much? Was that your life plan to work at this place? Was that your life goal to be with this person? No, it was probably something that you just simply did, and it felt good for a minute, and you thought that's the way it should always be. But then when the natural time of it kind of dissipated, when its time was over, it's like milk. It might be good on the first day, but as the week it sours. A lot of times relationships are the same way. They just sour. And what you have to understand is there's a lot more out there. Go out there and buy some more milk. Don't wait for it to turn to yogurt. Don't wait for it to turn to cheese. Don't focus on it. Now, I might be saying something to you that is difficult to do because maybe you're in a state of emotion, and again, our emotions feel real to us, but I'm telling you that all emotions are false. I don't care what emotion you have. It could be love, hate, whatever. They're all subject to change. They might not change, but they can change. And that's why anything that can change in this world is considered to be not real, because the only thing that is real is something that can never change. Okay, and it's up to you to find out what that means. But in life, things you deal with, they're subject to change, so therefore they're not real. Like when you see somebody who is young and in good shape, it's not real. That's time-based. In 50 years, 100 years, that'll be gone. So therefore, that was just a state they were in at the time, but it wasn't a true state that was just set in time as being perfect. And you know what? That's what life is. See, there's nothing more dead than a diamond, because a diamond is at its final state of evolution, and it can go nowhere. It won't change, but one day it also will be destroyed by time. We want to live our lives in the sense of moving through things, growing, and when something goes wrong, you have to realize, you know what? It's like a diamond. It's gone to its highest state, and it's dead. I can't do anything with it. I can see right through it. And you may look at something as being so shiny in your imagination and so brilliant that you had to have it, but in essence it really isn't that way. It really isn't. I guarantee you there's no one in the world who you broke up with who's better than you can ever meet again. There's no job that is so great that you can never find another job that would compare to that. Everything that we experience is based on how we choose to see it. The example again, someone gets to say to you, who's the best mother in the world? You would say your own, but you can't really quantify that. It's just a feeling you have. And I'm not saying you shouldn't love your mother, but I'm trying to say the example of saying that your mother is the best mother of all possible mothers and you were just so lucky that she was your mother. And no, anyone who is your mother, and you always love your mother. But your mother is someone who you came out of. That's what makes it special. Relationships, jobs, people, you enter into their world. Okay? It's like a bird landing on a tree. Sometimes the branches break and the bird had to fly away. Now, he could say to himself, this is the best possible tree, and even though there's no leaves, the branches are all full of maggots, and they're about to fall apart. If the branch falls, I'm going to stay with it and suffer. No, you fly away. You see? So you have to look at these people out there who hurt you, who dismiss you, as teachers. That's all they really are. They came to your life to teach you a lesson, and the one lesson is that you're really not all that great, that you have foibles, that you are not the most important thing in anyone's life, and maybe you should change up a little bit. Maybe you should stop being so much of a jerk or dismissive or too touchy feely, clingy. They teach you something. So if you can't learn a lesson, then you're basically doomed to make the same mistakes over and over again. It's like if you ever played an arcade game and someone gives you a quarter, say, I'm going to give you a quarter, you play the game. You play the game and you just mess up. You look for another quarter. Now, instead of saying to yourself, let me find another game, you say, I want to master this game, so you put in quarters and quarters and quarters. But understand this here, if you can't play the game properly and you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, I can give you 1,000,000 quarters, you're still going to have the exact same result. But if you play the game, watch it, and see where you made the mistakes and see where the things are coming up and you can overcome them, then you get better and you master the game. But once you master the game, it becomes boring and you move on to another game. That's the way it is with relationships. A lot of times people, they just don't understand the dynamics of relationships. They don't understand how they're making the same mistakes over and over again. And then when they do finally find someone who is good for them, and like they say they get married or they're with the person is committed to them, then they start to dismiss them. It's like I know all the moves, I know all the rules, I know everything's happening. There's no anticipation of anything but the same thing. And so what you have to do is you have to look at the people in your life who are there for you, the people who you basically have grown up with, who you've come out of, who you have been in the environment with, and look at them as being special. Your parents, your siblings, your close friends, okay? And even if those people who are married, if you have a husband or a wife, look at that person as being the people who you need to spend your time with, because people change all the time. Even as you grow older, you change. Your spouse will also change. So discover the newness of that person and revel in it. Be happy with it, because it's there. Your substance is already there for you. Don't seek it in someone who doesn't give you nutrition. If someone hurt your feelings, if someone dismissed you or look upon you as being less than who you think you should be, don't try to win them over again. Don't try to make them feel like, oh wow, I really messed up and I'm going to call you back, because that's fantasy. That's not going to happen. Focus on people who not necessarily need you, but deserve you, because that's more important. Because you see, when you try to satisfy something that you think you need, you don't always make the right choice. I remember one time I was talking to somebody and they said, I am so hungry, I'm starving. I go, no, you're not. I said, yeah, I am. What are you talking about? I'll prove you're not starving. Here's an apple. No, I don't want an apple. You see, if they were really dying and they were starving, they see an apple and they would jump on it. But they're craving. They're craving. And so a lot of times people who you focus on are not people you need to really focus on at all. They're more like a fantasy, a craving, something that you muster up in your mind as being something that you need, when in essence, in reality, what you need is what you already have. And go back and tend your own fields. Take care of your own environment, and let those people who don't really merit your time, let them go away, because they're going to make someone else just as miserable as they've made you. And I guarantee that they're gonna go away. They're going to do their thing, and you'll be happy in your own space, in your own experience, doing your own thing with people who love you. So that's my message for you today. People who look upon you as being not worthy are not worthy of your time as well. And if you continue to throw chords into a game that you haven't learned the rules with, you're only going to lose. Learn the rules, learn to play the game, and also learn when to quit and walk away. Thank you. You have a great day.